Receivers, another receiver that ended their holdout, Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin has signed a contract. He got paid, bro. $96 million, 3 years. I thought that was a good deal for Terry McLaurin, who, he's one of those guys I think in real life, he probably has more value than he does for fantasy. Like he's always kind of been a grinder, never really been paired with a quarterback, a great quarterback until now, in Jayden Daniels. And obviously the team like brought over Deebo Samuel. So with Terry, I don't know where you're at with Terry, but when I look at like Terry McLaurin, it's a guy who had a career high in touchdowns last year. And a lot of those were like some jump balls late. Like he had a lot of, I don't know if I want to call them lucky touchdowns, but some of those were lucky touchdowns that he had. And not a real touchdown guy in his career. He's been more of like that 5 to 7-ish type touchdown range. You bring in a little bit of competition in Deebo Samuel. Like, I don't know how you feel about Terry McLaurin, but where I'm at is I kind of think that he might, like, we probably valued him the right way. Like, I think there's this expectation that now that he signed, he ended his holdout, we should push him. He was a top 7 guy last year. Let's put him in the top 10. I kind of think he is who he is. He's a high-end wide receiver too, with not a whole lot of upside.
Yeah, I think that honestly where he fell is a good range. Like this is where he should be going and should have been going the whole time, is more of like late 4th rounder, early 5th, depending, or like in the 4th round sometimes. It just depends on league size, but more in the range of like Devontae Adams and Marvin Harrison Jr. and those guys back there, and like that's where he should have been going. Would I draft a lot of Terry McLaurin? Probably not, but I did find myself like more inclined to draft him where he was going than like early in this draft season. He was going in the beginning of the 3rd round.
Yeah,
I was not interested in drafting him there. So 4th round, like around, if he was going, because that's the problem. I don't have, I want to check Fantasy Pros.
He's going right now, like he's still kind of going in the same range. He's crept up a little bit, but now he's starting to go like in that top 15. Like he's locked into that top 15, which that to me is a little, I would say like that's a little high for Terry, in my opinion, based on like,
yeah,
he kind of it reminds me a lot of like DJ Moore. When DJ Moore had that one good year, it's like everybody just expected that to be the norm, when the norm for DJ Moore's career has been like wide receiver 3. And the norm for Terry McLaurin's career has been like wide receiver 2 in fantasy. He had the outlier year last year. I think it was an outlier year, if I'm just being honest. Like I
think he's a good player. The one thing that I'll say with Terry McLaurin is that number one, I think he's a good player. The problem I have with Terry McLaurin personally is just he goes around the running backs, and I like to take those running backs like Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall. Like I'm always going with those running backs over Terry McLaurin. But one thing that I'll say about Terry McLaurin and Terry McLaurin's defense is that I think he's a very good real-life wide receiver. I don't think he's an elite wide receiver, but I think he's a very good real-life wide receiver. And what happens, Jayden Daniels, like it was year 1. Like what happens if he takes a step in year 2? Like I don't think that's crazy to say. Like he could grow as a passer. Terry McLaurin, like he had a lower target share than what he's used to. Usually he's around 25%. Last year he's at 23%. So if like we have a little bit more volume in the passing offense because maybe Jayden Daniels does take a step, and maybe Terry's, target rate goes up to like 25%. I do think that there could be an increase in there to offset like the obvious decrease in touchdowns. But I will say, like, I think he's a good football player, and I don't think it's unrealistic to see Jayden Daniels take another step in year 2. So I don't take him a whole lot, but I do think that could be an expectation that I think some people are just kind of completely writing off for Terry McLaurin.
I think even if he took another step, though, it's so hard, in my opinion, to get him there. Like when he's shown us he's not like a 100-catch guy. He's not a 1,500-yard threat. He's not really a threat for like 10-plus. Normally, he's not a threat for like 10-plus touchdowns. It's kind of hard for me to buy in for that when like,
he's also had bad quarterbacks. He's had some really.
He has had bad quarterbacks. You're right about that, and I think you get an elite quarterback in Jayden Daniels that does change things for you. So, but you also bring in like another player in Deebo Samuel, who in his own right, you can call him what you want. You can call him fat. You can say he's washed. Whatever you want to say about Deebo Samuel, he's a very good football player still. I think. I don't think he's washed. I think he had that pneumonia late in the year. Probably was dealing with some things. Comes into a fresh situation with a lot to prove. As a Niner fan, like I know Deebo Samuel can be a value for this team and will command the football. And I kind of think that's why Terry was like, yo, let me get paid because we brought another guy in here that's going to take reps away. Like, let me get paid off a career year. But Deebo Samuel is in this room now, and I was thinking like, yo, if Terry didn't play to start the year, or maybe he was holding out, like Deebo would have incredible value. He's going right now like that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 land. Do you think Deebo's closer to like the Deebo of old, where we're going to see like wide receiver 2 production, or do you think he's kind of a secondary piece in this offense?
No, I think he's more of a secondary piece personally. I don't think that he may not be washed, but the other thing too is that I think him and Terry are completely different players. Like I wouldn't be concerned about Deebo Samuel commanding a high target share and really like cutting out Terry just because Deebo's always been a very low A dot kind of guy, where Terry's more of downfield kind of threat. So I think they're a lot different. But like for me personally, I just don't have. It's not that I don't even have high expectations. I just not interested in Deebo. Once again, like just based off of where he's going in drafts. So like right now, Deebo Samuel's going. Like I know I keep bringing him up, but like Ricky Pearsall and Matthew Golden and even like Travis Etienne and like Emeka Buka. He's going in that range where I just don't find myself ever clicking Deebo because I'd rather have those other names. Now, maybe I could be wrong, but I also think San Francisco was a great fit for him. And not saying that Washington can't use him at, the best ability that he can, like he was used in San Francisco, but like, we don't know. Like it's always really tough with these players, with the older wide receivers that are coming off of, down seasons and going to brand new teams and brand new systems. I'm not saying that Deebo can't do that, but I'm not really expecting it. And I'd much rather go with those other sexier names than Deebo there.
Yeah, he's kind of a boring pick on the wrong side of 27 and, trending in the wrong direction as far as like fantasy production. We saw, like I said, a dip. But I also think Deebo does have a lot of good standalone value. You talked about like maybe you do get a little bit more upside from Golden or from, some of the players in that range of Pearsall. But there's also like a sense of floor, I think, with Deebo that they went and got him. Like it's not like, they went and traded for him this offseason, which lets me know, okay, they're trying to find a secondary receiver in this offense to help things out. And I like Deebo where he's going, like wide receiver 4. He's kind of one of the last like big names. And you mentioned it, like the one thing Deebo doesn't need, he doesn't need to be the wide receiver 1 to be valuable. He could have a great season on like 700 yards with stuff in the running game and his touchdowns. Like that's just who he is. So I'll be very curious to see how Kliff Kingsbury kind of like, lets him go, because he's one of those players, Tyler. I think if he hits for you, it's like, dude, he's a wide receiver 3 at a high end wide receiver 3 if he hits. And he has that yak ability, bro, which like he could have one of those 250, the 150-yard games with 2 touchdowns very easily. That's a Deebo Samuel type game, especially in the right matchup. So I don't know.
One thing I'll say too is they got rid of Brian Robinson. So you have like Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, who I like personally, but unknown. Like maybe they got rid of Brian Robinson too because they have Deebo, and like that's where Deebo has always been his most valuable, is when he's actually used in the running game. So
there was an interesting comment that
maybe
came
they
out
do that.
from Kliff King. It was from Kingsbury. I can't remember Dan Quinn, and he said we're going to have an unconventional approach to the goal line this year. And I thought that was kind of intriguing, because you talked about, I was like, huh, like obviously you get rid of Brian Robinson, but you do have JCM, you got Chris Rodriguez, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Jayden Daniels. So like it is kind of intriguing to see, like maybe they are throwing Deebo in there at running back a little bit more, and we're seeing him like catching the balls in the flats, and like, they're actually using him in the ground game or in the reverse. Like you can get really creative with Deebo Samuel. So yeah, that's an interesting concept. And I mean, that would up his touchdowns a lot.